Okay. Welcome. You're listening to the Best of Investing on Talk 910, the show where we present valuable information about real estate, the financial markets, and other economic business of the day. And for those of you listening for the first time, here's our format: a few people sitting around a bar having not old, Christmas candy from a few days ago. Talking business with you, the audience listening in. I'm your host, Edward Brown, and I'm pleased to have as my co-host Mark Hoff of Pacific Private Money, California's fastest growing private lender, Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati and Karad, and Julie Kennedy of Marin Modern Real Estate. Our phone number is 888-912-1190. Write that number down, 888-912-1190, because you're going to use that number to answer the trivia questions for 3 vacations given away during each commercial break. That's right, we're giving away 9 vacations during this show. Now, the vacations are not sponsored by the radio station, but by Lighthouse Resort and Marina, which is located 1 hour northeast of San Francisco. The vacations are free. They only request a $75 cleaning fee to cover housekeeping expenses. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. You can reach them at 916-777-5511. Today's trivia theme is An American Christmas, since I don't want Christmas to end. Okay.
We'll milk it for a few more days.
Exactly, that's right.
Every last
It's
hour.
Christmas
The last
vacation,
2 months
right?
haven't been sufficient.
That's
well,
true.
I'll still accept gifts.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and also it's a short season because
Yes.
Thanksgiving was a little bit late. And our website is bestofinvesting.com. Check us out on Facebook and YouTube by typing Best of Investing Radio Show. We're also on television, Comcast Channel 26 and AT&T Channel 99 on Saturdays at noon and Sundays at 6 p.m. Kathryn, take it away. What you talked about coming in 2014. What's going on?
I thought it would be appropriate as we kind of end 2013 and go into 2014. We discussed planning for 2014 and some of the items that are coming down the pipeline that really impact every individual in the country, whether you are somebody who's have lower income and are benefiting from the Obamacare and the possible credits, and all the way up to individuals who may get various credits on their tax return. One that may impact a lot of people is the cancellation of debt. What that is,
that's a big one.
It's one that no one really realized because the wave of it occurred in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But in the last 4 or 5 years, the government basically said if you had a cancellation of debt, if you owned your home and when you sold it, you owed more than what you sold it for, and you were able not to have to pay the bank back, you usually have to pay income taxes on that. Obviously, with a lot of the foreclosures, the short sales that happened in the last few years, there was a huge wave of such activity. And obviously, if somebody had to sell it for a loss and were in foreclosures or had to have a short sale, they already were in a financially unhealthy situation.
Yeah, what a double whammy.
Yes. So to walk away and then say, oh, hold on, you may have to pay taxes on that.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned the Obamacare thing, because I have Blue Cross right now, their Anthem, and I pay, it's always a lot, right?
Yes.
But because of being self-employed, I never know if my income's up, down, whatever. And I found out that if I signed up for Obamacare, even though I would get a good deal today, by the end of the year, if my income was higher than it was supposed to be, then I was going to end up having to pay much more than I was paying now. I mean, instead of like $500 and something a year, I'd have to pay like $1,100. So I'm looking at this going, you know what? Forget it. I'm not doing it.
You don't realize it, and they kind of, I don't want to say trick you, but they say,
you can say it, trick you.
If you're below the threshold, I think it's like 400,000 of the poverty level, you get a credit. But if you go above it, so if you halfway through the year don't have a job or maybe have a part-time job and kind of qualify, and you get the credit for the entire year, they basically pay the tax. The government pay the difference on what you pay and what the health insurance needs.
Yeah.
They'll pay it throughout the year, but come at the end of the year, there's going to be a reconciliation that's done, and if you are above that threshold, you have to pay that all back. So
or more.
Yeah. You really don't know, and it's one of those things that if you go in it blindly, you don't know what to expect a year from now, how it's going to have an impact on you, and you pay it. It comes onto your tax return. It's not something that you can walk away from, and it's not due to the county. It's paid to the federal government, so they can track you down.
Absolutely, it's funny because we could spend the whole show talking nothing about Obamacare. I think from my perspective, so much more remains to be seen in 2014, if nothing else, is going to continue to peel back the curtains of exactly how this, one of the largest legislative bills to pass in our history, how that's going to affect all of us in our pocketbooks. And it's interesting, I keep thinking back to Nancy Pelosi's comment about we have to pass the Obamacare bill to see what's in it.
Yes,
and now we're seeing what's in it, and some of it's good and some of it's not so good, and some of it's not as it was promised or painted or marketed back when by the folks on the Democrat side of the aisle.
On Capitol Hill.
Yeah. So it's really interesting and frustrating, and it's what's boring to me is, and I think this is going to happen more and more with the public as it goes on, is it's always like there's always an article at the top of WallStreetJournal.com or wherever you go to read something. It's like what's the latest angle, rub, issue, surprise vis-a-vis Obamacare.
Yes.
I'm already getting tired of it. It's like, oh, this is going to be an endless nightmare.
And it will be for a while.
Oh my gosh.
This is just, it's only been 2 months, and you can see that a lot of these items you can't predict. You don't even think about. I don't think President Obama realized when he was saying, oh, if you have your health insurance, you can keep it, and he promised it. He just wasn't thinking about it down the road and its impact. And it's only going to happen over the next year, 2 years, the implications. And they've deferred some of the things.
Yeah.
They've deferred some of the required disclosures and the reporting requirements for another year. So we think maybe all of this is going to be impacted this year. It's not going to happen.
What was the latest big deferral that was the news this week? Something about individuals being able to defer. Are you up on that?
Well, I mean, there was obviously the one where there was the wave where, okay, if you had your insurance and it doesn't meet the minimum, you can keep it. That was what Obama did a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one that I'm aware of had to do with small businesses and the ability to, I think, offer their plan on some type of exchange. I think that was deferred another year.
Well, what I don't understand, though, about this latest deferment that Mark just mentioned is how can, if the insurance company has canceled your policy and now Obama says, oh no, you can keep it, but that policy is no longer available.
I think it's somewhat grandfathered in now. Is that it's going to be until you want to change. Once it's changed, it's not available to anybody today for next year. But if you had it a year ago, it's available and you can continue it this year. I'm not 100% sure. There's one place where CPA does not know everything, but I know enough to be dangerous and to ask a question or two.
Well, I have a friend who was telling me her sad story, and again, another self-employed person. And she got denied the California care, so they referred her over to Medicare.
I didn't think you could get denied.
Well, wait, is it because
Well,
her
she
income's
did.
so low?
Was so low.
She's at Medi-Cal.
Right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
So now I'm teasing her. She's now a welfare queen, right? And this is a woman
Yes.
who works
And
very hard, but it's like you can't predict her income.
Yeah.
And it could all change. So when she sent her
application.
application in, the woman
Sorry,
on the
Rita.
other end of the line, this is when she got to the Medi-Cal part.
Oh.
They were like, oh, yeah, so impressed,
Guess what?
so
You can
surprised.
qualify for. And I think
Yeah.
it's just rolled up into it now. So people that's what it is. It's the option. And she just has to be careful of it if she doesn't know how her income's going to play out for the year. She needs to plan for it and be
Yeah.
prepared to put some money aside for some extra taxes.
Kind of scary. Okay, we're going to go to a quick commercial break. Before we do, though, next week we're going to have a special trivia contest where the winner is going to receive 2 tickets on the Hornblower. Okay, so imagine yourself aboard a luxury yacht with your closest friends and family. Indulge in deliciously prepared food and scenic San Francisco Bay views.
I'm hungry.
Yeah. Hornblower Cruises and Events offers 3 types of dining cruises: a free-flowing champagne brunch cruise, fun and lively supper club cruise, and an elegant 4-course dinner cruise. Fun for people of all ages. Book now at hornblower.com. You guys ever been there? You ever been on the
Yes.
list?
I have,
It's
yeah.
fantastic. I mean, I love the steaks they did. One time, in fact, we were going there and the wind had blown the flag like almost completely around it. So I went out there and it was cold and all this wind, and I'm fighting with this flag to undo it. And as soon as I did, I came in and everyone gave me a standing ovation.
my
It was so
God.
funny. Okay, again, so now we're going to cut to our regular commercial break here. So that trivia contest is next week.
Okay.
All right, here is the theme. Again, is An American Christmas. Here's the first question. What character plays the innkeeper in A Charlie Brown Christmas? The first 3 callers with the correct, now you have little one. So you should know this one. Okay, the first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What character plays the innkeeper in A Charlie Brown Christmas? 888-912-1190. Make sure to include your name and your email address. Please speak slowly. Spell out your email one letter at a time. Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing will be right back.
I have no idea.
Oh, my goodness.
I have just been stumped. Well, last time's trivia was
Oh, I never have.
very difficult.
One time you went 2 for 3.
One I yes. I can't remember. No, I haven't actually seen it. It was not the Christmas one. It was the what's that one thing?
So, Charlie Brown Christmas, did they all have to be Peanuts characters?
Yes, they did.
Okay.
I know, but I'm gonna try some now.
Sorry.
And I'm hungry. Everyone's got food.
I'm going to ask you, right?
I was
Is
gonna say,
this a
it
light
doesn't
shop?
even trigger, like, once someone says food, I'm like, let's eat.
Can I do that? Can I ask you, right, as you're taking a
Oh
bite?
my god. A lot of people qualify now.
Yeah.
It's very,
But she will actually, because, so then the worst part is, so now she's trying to communicate with this woman,
Yeah.
but they're all on furlough, and then they're closed, and so she's as of January 1, she, for the
She
first
doesn't
time in
want to
her
be on that
life,
account like that.
she does not.
When we come back, you want to get into your article?
sure.
Okay.
That's good. What? Lettuce.
She's just,
I had it. I had one more bite. I'm like, I want it.
well, the thing is, it's toffee type thing, so it's not like a quick, popcorn.
Oh, it's so good.
It's good though. But it's like you're a peanut brittle fan.
Okay, Panky.
Okay, Panky? Okay, buckwheat. Let's go.
Okay, Bobby.
Okay.
There I am, Captain.
Ready, Freddie?
Ready, Teddy.
Ready, Teddy? Okay, here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, Kathryn Harris, and Julie Kennedy. When we cut to the first commercial break, again, the theme is An American Christmas. We ask this trivia question. What character plays the innkeeper in A Charlie Brown Christmas? Ladies?
I'm stumped.
Mark?
Pigpen.
Pigpen!
Oh.
That is correct. How appropriate, Pigpen, to do
I've only seen that thing about
hospitality.
100 times. Yeah.
I didn't see it this holiday season. There were quite a few things I didn't see this season.
Yeah, that mic's a little funky. That's why it goes.
Okay, well,
like that. Okay, so Julie, you're on now. You have an interesting article for us.
Well, I actually have some predictions. Is that better?
That's a lot better.
It is crackling. Predictions for 2014 with regard to the San Francisco Bay Area real estate market.
Okay.
And one of the things that I see, well, first of all, I wanted to just touch on this poor self-employed person, because as of next year, it is going to be more difficult for a person without a W-2 to qualify for a loan. So we've got now a 43% debt-to-income ratio. So the poor self-employed person, which I am, I think 3 of us in this room are going to be suffering because we don't have that W-2 in our hands.
I know when you go for a loan, let's say you're Schedule C, self-employed, you show your tax
Pretty
return, but then
straightforward.
they're going to still ask for bank statements and
Sure.
make you prove anything over like $100. Where did that money come from?
Right, right.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The Bay Area being populated by a lot of self-employed
Yes.
people. I mean, what you're talking about is the qualified mortgage rule that goes into effect on January 10.
Right.
And why it goes on effect to the 10th, I mean, not the first, I have no idea why, but on January 10th, the qualified mortgage rule goes into effect, and that basically makes it more difficult for lenders to make consumer home loans, because in the interest of basically preventing banks from making loans that consumers cannot afford, they are now required to prove your ability to make those monthly payments. And guess what? W-2s are great for that. But if you're self-employed and you don't have a W-2 and you file your business on your Schedule C, or maybe you're a subchapter S corporation, or maybe even an LLC, most of us who operate in that manner, and I do personally, we're got pretty good at expensing lots and lots of things through our companies and trying
Like
to.
that candy, for instance.
That's right. That's a promotional expense.
Yes,
Absolutely. By the way, yeah, we're all sitting here munching on Julie's Christmas candy, which is delicious, by the way. I'll try not
Call
to.
Julie at this number to get the
Yes.
candy.
And so, so those of us who look to minimize our tax burden by taking all of those deductions that we are entitled to, right, Kathryn? We're not.
Yes,
we're
yes.
That's what the
It's,
Supreme
it's
Court
not
says.
tax
You don't have to
avoidance; it's tax minimization, right?
No, it's not tax
You pay
evasion.
your
It's tax
Evasion,
fair.
right? Now, yeah,
Avoidance is okay.
yeah,
Evasion
avoidance is
not.
okay, right? Evasion, right? I got it backwards there.
Yeah.
So anyway, it remains to be seen how that's going to affect the real estate market going forward. Is it going to significantly decrease the number of buyers qualified to buy homes?
It's
That's the
gotta.
prediction.
Well,
has to.
yeah,
I
it
mean, the
has
math
to.
is it has to, right?
Right. And again, as you said, so many of the people in the Bay Area are self-employed. But then on the flip side of that, I think we're going to see some real change in the way the market's happening now because of the young generation. We've got the Twitter and the Google people who have all decided, or not all, but many have decided that with the rents as they are now in the San Francisco Bay Area, maybe in fact they're willing to give up a little bit of that independence and settle down, buy a place. They're attracted to kind of the urban core or any areas that are close to transit. So we're going to see that money coming in more into the probably townhouse, condo market, not in the far suburbs, but close to San Francisco city center. San Mateo is another hot spot because we've got the Caltrans anywhere where there's public transportation running. In Marin, years ago, the Marin voters decided they didn't want BART, and it still is a bit of a push for somebody, particularly this new young generation who ride their bikes, who like to take public transportation, and unless it's the ferry or a limited Golden Gate Transit, Marin is not going to be, I don't think, as big of a player with that particular demographic.
Good point. Good point.
What other predictions do you see there in your little bag of goodies?
Well, I see that if I were a seller, I would start thinking this is a pretty good time to put my house on the market if I was thinking about it, because I feel that the market it's not softening, but we're not going to have that crazy frenetic seller's market that we had. It'll continue to be a seller's market, but I believe we're going to see more inventory in the market, which will obviously, bring more competition.
Yeah.
And as soon as there's more competition, more homes on the market.
Because remember, those sellers, they're going to have to find a place to live.
Exactly. And one of the things that's been very interesting at the end of this year, we've had a couple of sales where the buyer has made an offer based contingent upon the sale of their own home. And the seller has accepted that. Now that
Really?
might sound very unusual in the seller's market,
Nowadays, yeah.
but what the seller realizes is that just as his home sold very quickly, that guy's house is going to turn quickly too. So the agents have a conversation, the seller's agent and the buyer's agent. They talk to the buyer's listing agent.
Yeah.
Tell me about this house. Show me the comps. And we've had accepted offers.
That's amazing because I remember a few years ago, you couldn't do that. You had to give
not
it
the
all
last few
cash
years.
off.
But if everybody's able to close within a very short, reasonable amount of time,
nowadays, yeah.
it's really conceivable. And it's nice because buyers are coming to us and saying, well, I still have a house to sell. Do you think if I found something I could make an offer?
Yeah.
We say, sure.
It's happening now, and you would suggest doing it now, not waiting for the summer,
Spring.
summer. That's usually where a lot more individuals start putting their houses on the market.
I would say there's no time like now because we don't know what the
Yeah.
market's, we
But
don't know
also
what interest rates are going to do. So
And if people do that in the spring, then you're just going to be following the herd. And
Exactly.
you want to maybe get in ahead of time.
Well, that's interesting that you predict that, Julie. So what you're saying is well, let me ask you, actually, see if I understood what you were saying. Put it on the market now versus spring as opposed to now versus 2015? Are you?
Well, I think, yes, now versus spring, absolutely. Because again, everyone seems to wait
Yeah.
until spring.
Yeah.
But there are buyers out there. We have 3 escrows closing this week.
Wow, right before, right after Christmas.
So the buyers are
Christmas
out
week,
there. And for whatever reason, people do have to sell. They may be relocating, divorce, a trust sale.
Yeah, a lot of times they want to start the new year something brand new.
Right.
Okay, tell you what, we're going to cut to another quick commercial break. When we come back, we've got some very interesting emails for our hosts here. Again, the theme is an American Christmas. In the popular song, what brought Frosty the Snowman to life? The first 3 callers with the correct all these cartoons today. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Again, their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. In the popular song, what brought Frosty the Snowman to life? I think I can barely hear all of you singing it a little bit here.
I'm watching Mark's forehead.
Frosty. Okay. Make sure to include your name and your email address. Speak slowly. Spell out your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial. The best of investing. We'll be right back. Yeah,
Let's find which one is doing that.
Well, it's unfortunately it's
Crackling?
Are we
Yeah,
moving
it's
or
supposed
kicking
I'm
us
not.
off?
yeah, I was gonna say sometimes the music. Now, see the way this one works. For some reason, that's why I had to put this tape. So the best thing to do is just get as close as you can, and try not to. If you do this or whatever, it shakes it. So
Okay.
we'll see what we can do.
I listen to Christmas music all night long. I know the
Well,
song,
I
I hear the song.
I
Keep
keep
hearing the same ones.
singing the song in my mind, but then suddenly it morphs into Rudolph. And I know it has nothing to do with Rudolph or Santa.
That is true.
Actually, I don't know the words of that
Yeah.
song, so.
I
What's a joy?
No.
Something.
Soul.
yeah.
Do you know the answer to that, Mr. Kaima?
No, I don't.
Oh.
Cool.
I never was a kid.
Aw.
Listen,
It bypassed me.
listen. Being brought up Jewish, it was sad.
No, I just started out at 50,
I just felt like an
55.
outsider.
A lot of them do celebrate now.
Yeah.
My brother-in-law, they do
We
celebrate.
celebrate Festivus.
That's right.
Festivus for the rest of us. Yeah, you see
Don't
Seinfeld?
tell that woman on Fox News
Oh.
about it.
I actually do. I never saw that one.
Yeah, that's where it's where George's dad comes up with
Yeah,
Festivus.
it's fun.
Festivus for the rest of us. Yay. Okay. So yeah, again, if you go ahead and go like that, and if you have to talk to them, just kind of pivot like that. Okay.
Okay.
Hey. Is that the camera?
Yeah.
Is it on?
Yeah.
I
Excellent.
don't see the red button.
Yeah.
the red
where's the
dot?
button? You gotta get a little red button.
You want to see the red dot? Okay.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, that's what
I
we don't
never
do,
like
right?
you to know when I'm.
That's true. Oh, that's the reason. I thought maybe
Like
we
candid
I
camera.
thought maybe we could-
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Welcome back to The Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, Kathryn Harris, and Julie Kennedy. When we cut to the second commercial break, we asked this trivia question. Again, the theme is An American Christmas. In the popular song, what brought Frosty the Snowman to life?
You've
Three
stumped the
blanks.
host.
Three blanks. There's
Three
Yes.
blind mice.
an old silk hat.
Oh,
Hey,
God.
we would accept
No.
a hat. Remember when they put a hat, he started dancing around.
No.
La da 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 da. Okay, let's get right into email time here. Mark, we have an email for you. It's very interesting. It says, "I have heard you on the show before." I'm gonna summarize this. That basically there were specific reasons why you started a fund. What were they? So kind of get a little background on that for us.
Oh, okay. My name is Mark Hunt. I'm broker for Pacific Private Money. We're a private money lender, also called a hard money lender, based in Marin County, and we specialize in making loans to real estate investors. Oftentimes those loans are for guys who are either buying, fixing, or flipping property, which is actually a thriving marketplace right now, or to people who are buying property to hold for rental income. And the reason we're able to make those loans is the banks largely pulled out of that marketplace after 2008. Again, a lot of people just aren't aware of this, but you cannot buy income property anymore the way you used to be able to prior to 2008 when the whole universe changed.
Well, especially now, also with Julie bringing up about how self-employed people are going to have even a harder time.
Well, and that's, and the result of the mortgage meltdown that happened in 2008 with the financial markets and all that scary stuff that happened in around the fourth quarter of 2008 is that they've changed a lot of the laws around lending. So they've made it harder for banks to lend, and the private money lending industry has picked up the slack. So that's a little bit of background. We have a thriving marketplace right now for private money loans. And so the question was, I understand you have a mortgage pool fund. Why did you decide to go that route? Well, most of the loans that we've made to date at Pacific Private Money, we've made over 600 loans to real estate investors since 2008. Most of them have been funded by private individuals in the form of an individual note, which is also called trust deed investing. And all that means is that the individual who basically made their money available to fund that loan, their name actually, or the name of their trust, depending on how they lent the money, actually went on the note. So they were the lender. They were acting like the bank. And that's how a lot of private money loans are funded these days, with the individual person's name on that loan. They're basically the lender, and they lend it through a licensed California mortgage broker, which is what we are at Pacific Private Money. We do all the paperwork. They supply the funds. We originate a loan to a borrower. Now, fast forward to 2013, and there are so many people now who have learned about this opportunity to make 8% or more on your money secured by real estate. And so more and more people have been entering the marketplace looking for opportunities. Our phone's been ringing off the hook with people calling saying, I'd like to get in on your list of investors. Well, it turns out that so many people have called that it's almost impossible for us to service them one by one individually. So we decided it was the perfect time to start the Mortgage Pool Fund, which I actually started over a year ago, and we launched it in early 2013. And the Mortgage Pool Fund is designed for those people who are interested in making higher yields on their savings, but they're unable to get in on these opportunities for individual notes because the demand is so high and the competition is so strong for them.
Well, I can attest to that because, fortunately, I have invested in your fund, but I also get emails from other hard money lenders, right? And I got this one opportunity that was it was only 8%, but I thought, okay, that's not too bad. Only, yeah.
Yes.
Compared, well, you're paying higher, But anyway, so I decided, fun, I'll just go ahead and, because it looked like a decent piece of property. And I went ahead and literally 10 minutes, only 10 minutes went by, and I replied, yes, I'm interested. They sent me back about 5 minutes later, sorry, you're too late. Two other people.
My gosh.
Yeah, are got it. So great, now I got my money sitting at, 0.0000001%, waiting for another deal. I could just go ahead and invest with Mark and get that.
Right, so if you're thinking to yourself, you're listening to my answer here, and you're thinking to yourself,
Go ahead, keep going.
so if you're thinking to yourself, how does this affect, sorry about that, we had a technical glitch there. So if you're thinking about how does this affect me and my opportunity if there's a strong competition for individual notes, why would a mortgage pool fund have an advantage? And the reason for that is because we are the originator, we are the broker at Pacific Private Money. We can decide we fund about 15 to 20 transactions per month. We can decide whether we're going to offer that individually or we're going to offer it to the fund. And guess what? The way I wrote the prospectus for the fund is that my promise to fund shareholders is that the fund gets the first opportunity to fund every loan that comes through our organization, that comes through our brokerage. So the fund gets to cherry pick all the best deals. And so the highest quality loans with the best borrowers, with the best opportunities are funded through our mortgage pool fund first. And then whatever the fund either doesn't have the capital at the moment to fund or we decide is not fund worthy, we offer that to our individual investors. And again, we've got a stable of individual investors who are very well heeled and are able to make decisions very quickly. So,
do you call them a stable or harem?
So I'm actually not taking new individual note investors at this time. We have too many people who prefer individual notes. Instead, we're marketing for consumers who are looking for opportunities to put their money to work, to earn 8% or more on a passive investment, which is how the fund works. We have right now the fund as of the third quarter. We're going to make our fourth quarter distribution in another couple of weeks, but our third quarter distribution was at an annualized rate of 8.9%.
But how
secured
risky?
by real estate.
Yeah, well, that's pretty nice, huh?
With a
How-
weighted average loan to value in the fund of just 60%.
And that's very important to
That-
understand.
yeah,
People
yeah,
need to understand
We
that
don't make
going
risky
into-
loans. We don't make high percentage loans. We make conservative loans
That's more
secured by barrier real estate.
That's actually more conservative than the bank loans.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I understand correctly, you are generally the first borrower, so you are the
First position
First
loans.
position.
Right.
Virtually
So-
every loan we make
So
is a first
give us a
position
quick
loan.
synopsis. Why are these borrowers willing to pay? What kind of interest rate are they paying?
Usually between 9 and 10%. And the reason they're willing to pay that much money for a loan is because, well, A, the bank isn't making them the loan, so they don't have an option to go to the bank and get it for 5%. But more importantly, we make these loans quickly. We're able to help them use leverage to execute a real estate strategy. And that's, again, something that, again, the banks are just not able to serve that niche right now.
Okay, we have a couple of minutes. Let's finish off with you, and give us the example you gave on our earlier show called Mortgage Investing 101 about the people who wanted to buy a house, but then they also wanted to sell their other house.
We did a bridge loan last week for a consumer that owned their home, intended to put it on the market, and identified a home they wanted to purchase. They thought they could buy this home using a bank loan and found out that they did not qualify to have two bank loans at the same time on two primary residences. So they came to Pacific Private Money for what's called a bridge loan, and we were able to make them a loan at 70% of the purchase price on this Napa home, lovely home that was a newer build in Napa. We made them a 70% purchase loan with the belief and intention that they would pay that loan off very quickly. So the interest rate was high. I think it was 9.9%. We made the loan to them, and we charged 2 points on the origination fee. So it wasn't inexpensive, but it was a tool that allowed this family to take advantage of a buy opportunity, but not risk selling their home first and having to move twice or put their stuff in storage, which is expensive. So on the one hand, they saved that extra money by having to move twice, but they did have to pay about $7,500 in fees to do that loan. So again, that's an example of being able to operate quickly. One last thing, we closed that loan in 4 business days because they thought they had a bank who was going to make that loan, and the bank last minute pulled out, deciding that they did not,
Wow,
the underwriting wasn't there.
those
So
rascals.
so they were looking at losing the opportunity and losing their deposit. And I got a frantic call from a friend of ours who's actually a former co-host on this very show, Jeremy Forcier, who called me and said, "Mark, can you?" It was Tuesday morning. He said, "Can you close by Friday?" And after he gave me the description, I said, "I think I can help you."
I bet you love getting those calls.
I did.
Catherine, I have a question though. When Mark was talking about the interest points, would that be tax deductible for the buyer?
Generally speaking, yes. If it's when you are in the process of buying homes like that, generally speaking you have the ability. Now, obviously there are limits and exceptions to it, but yes. But speaking to the point, you get 4 days. You just don't hear
No.
that
Yeah.
nowadays. And when 2014 comes, and specifically January 10th comes, and there's this debt to income limit, there is going to be another market out there
Yes.
Absolutely.
that I didn't even think that existed until today.
Market for Mark.
Yes.
Wasn't he a famous singer? Mark Wahlberg? Oh, that was Marky
Marky
Mark.
Mark.
There
For
you
more
go.
information, you can contact me at Pacific Private Money by going to our website, which is surprisingly pacificprivatemoney.com, or call us at 415-883-2150, or go to the radio show website, bestofinvesting.com, and listen to our podcast from our previous shows.
Excellent. We're going to cut to our third and final commercial break. Again, the theme is An American Christmas. What is the largest selling Christmas song of all time? I know you've heard of the song. The first 3 callers with the correct answer win a free 3-day, 2-night stay at the Lighthouse Resort. Their website is lighthouse4fun.com. Call 888-912-1190. That's 888-912-1190 to answer this question. What is the largest selling Christmas song of all time? Make sure to include your name, your email address, speak slowly, spell out your email 1 letter at a time. Don't touch that dial. The Best of Investing will come right back with a couple of very interesting emails for our other 2 co-hosts.
Okay, so,
Now I just have to think through songs.
so Mark,
There's only like a million songs.
I have a client that's looking at this, pretty much a tear down, Gerstle Park. Really nice lot.
Hope it's not my old house.
And I'm concerned about getting a loan on the property, the conventional loan. Is that something that you would do?
Absolutely. So a bridge doesn't have to be where they
Yeah,
currently
pay it
own
right
a
now.
home and they want to put it on the market, but they want to buy this other one first. It could also be any consumer primary residence purchase situation where
She's
we
buying
can
it for-
reliably we can rely on their ability to conventionally refinance within a 12-month period.
12 months,
It's,
okay.
we're only allowed to make the loan for exactly 12 months or less. And so what we do to make sure that there's compliance, because you can't do the odd days and then do it a year after, because then it ends up being 12 months and a couple of weeks. We
Right.
actually make it for 11 months and change. So if they
Okay.
close in December, we'll actually make it due like November 30th of next year, that type of thing. So we make it, we call it in the office an 11-month bridge loan. Because it's just under 12 months to come in on that less than
I may
1 year
have her-
temporary loan exclusion that we can operate under.
Yeah, I may have her give you a call.
Okay.
Always good. Okay, ready? Got about 10 and a half minutes to go.
Oh,
After
good. I was hoping
email.
these guys would have a long segment to do their email.
And away we go. Welcome back to the Best of Investing. I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Mark Hahn, Kathryn Harris, and Julie Kennedy. When we cut to the third and final commercial break, again, the theme is An American Christmas. What is the largest selling Christmas song of all time?
White Christmas?
Yes, White Christmas.
Yes.
And that's
That's
actually
impressive.
the song that my wife and I first met. We danced to.
Aw.
So she'll remember. Aww. Every time it comes on, I sing, and she says, Edward, I love to hear you sing. Sing 10 or 15 miles from here. No.
Can you
Okay.
sing Over the Hill and Far Away?
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
That's a
Okay.
Led Zeppelin song.
Okay. Email for Kathryn says here, since you're a CPA, certified public accountant, how much advice should a CPA give other than doing my tax return? My current CPA seems to be afraid to step outside the tax arena.
You know, it does depend on who you talk to. Some CPAs have extra letters in addition to just the CPA after their name and feel qualified to speak on other matters. Others just want to give tax advice and don't want to have that legal obligation or the liability if they were to give other advice. Your CPA is a great resource to at least get some information, some things they'll know off the bat. I mean, we spoke earlier about health insurance. I know enough to start asking questions and point
okay.
somebody in the right direction. We may not know the answer, but we may know. We have a lot of people that we do know in different industries that we could give a referral to.
See, that's the important thing is, anyone who says that he or she knows everything, you can stay away from that person, but at least you know what you don't know, so at least you have the contacts.
Yes.
And your firm, Parati and Karate, I mean, they're not that small a company.
No, we are located in Larkspur. We're a one office firm. There are about 15 of us, about 10 of us that are professionals. So you do actually get the value and the experience of not just one individual, which I find to be something that you don't. I would prefer to have in a CPA, somebody who, if I don't know the answer, I have somebody available immediately who may be the expert in nonprofits or somebody who's the expert when it comes to estate planning. So we are a larger firm, smaller firm, and you can reach us at 415-461-8500 if you have any questions or if you want to go through. We should have talked about it about tax planning. We briefly touched it in the beginning. Is that a lot of things are happening in 2014 that will impact not just people who have incomes over 100,000, 200,000. There's, as we said, health insurance that will have an impact on individuals who have less income. So don't sit down and wait till April 1st. Be proactive. Get on and talk to a CPA.
And generally, when you're getting referrals from people, is it because of tax advice? I mean, because you get referrals all the time.
Generally speaking, that's the tax advice, but we also do bookkeeping services. We do auditing services, attest services for nonprofits or individuals or businesses that need to have reporting to their bank or to a government agency. we do those services as well.
And those services are harder to find nowadays.
are
A
harder
lot
to
of CPA firms they don't do that anymore.
Yes, and that gives us again a bit more information, a bit more knowledge about what you should be doing in planning. Because if you are a business that's on the accrual basis, you need to know about the GAAP accounting.
Oh,
I
yeah.
start talking accounting language
That's
now.
okay. So again, because you did give us a lot of good feedback here on the Obama situation in 2014 and tax advice. How do people get a hold of you again?
I can be reached at 415-461-8500. You can go to our website. It's pc-cpas.com, and you can find more information there as well.
That's Kathryn Harris, CPA of Parati and Karat. Okay, we have also a question here for Julie. It says, how often do you represent the buyer and seller since you're a real estate agent? Do you see a conflict of interest? That's a pretty good question.
Well, to answer the first question, never. I have never represented, as we call it, double-ended a deal.
Okay.
When I take a listing, I usually sit down, or I do sit down with my client, and I explain to them that there is an inherent conflict of interest. Now, I would say that there are many, many agents in the industry that would not agree with me and do double end, but I often tell my client it's a little bit like having a single attorney for both the plaintiff and the defendant.
Because in theory, what's good for one may not be
Right.
good for the other.
Now, I think that there are a few situations, circumstances, so I never have, because I haven't found yet a situation where I would feel comfortable.
Well, what do you do when you find you have the listing and you just happen to have a buyer?
Right.
What do you do?
Well, I either would bring in someone else from my firm or my broker to
Okay.
represent the buyer.
Okay.
Because you have a fiduciary responsibility.
Yeah.
And how can you, knowing, for example, something in your mind that's in essence part of the seller's strategy,
Yeah.
and then the buyer has a strategy, I just don't see how ethically you could do it. Now, if
Yeah.
somebody has a home and this is the price they want, and somebody comes along and says, I'm just gonna take it tomorrow, wrap it up,
Yeah.
that might be simple, but most real estate transactions are not
No.
that simple.
Well, also you have disclosures and, the roof leaks and, you have all that kind of stuff too. Very, very interesting on that. So you do see a conflict. It's funny. I haven't met too many real estate agents who are honest enough to say that they don't double end.
I'm
Most of,
surprised.
yeah, most of them just go,
would-
sure, I want a
Yes.
commission on both ends.
Yes.
Very good. How do people get a hold of you then?
Well,
They want a nice, honest opinion.
you can reach me, my telephone number is 415-497-8584, and we have a website. It is called nestinmarin.com. That's NEST inmarin.com. And my email address is team@nestinmarin.com. And I say team because I have a lovely partner, Natalie Kemp, so we do work together. And sometimes we can avoid that conflict of interest too, because it's nice having a partner. We have run into a situation where immediately, if we think that we're going to have an interested buyer, Natalie can take that client, and then we stop all joint communication. So
Boy, that's
we actually
kind of
sever.
tough.
Well, it is and it isn't, because actually I really trust Natalie to uphold the
Her part,
ethics,
yeah.
and she trusts me, and so, and I never like to feel anyway, regardless of who the other agent is on the other side,
Yeah.
it's not adversarial. It shouldn't be
It
adversarial.
shouldn't be. Yeah.
You should be coming to consensus and doing the best work for your individual client, but being positional will not advance the deal.
It's not a lawsuit. I mean, it's more of a contract.
It is.
It's really that kind of bargaining.
It's almost like mediation in a way. I like
In a
to,
way.
I
Yeah,
like to
but
think of it that
but
way.
in a friendly way, though.
Right. Well, that someone wins and everyone wins a little and everyone loses a little bit in the end.
Yeah.
Of course, in the buyer's market that it is now, mostly it's the seller the seller's market, it's the seller that's winning.
Well, and a very
Yeah.
wise person once told me that the agent's commission is the cheapest commission that gets paid, because the agent usually has to work hard enough
to justify.
to justify it, yeah. And a lot of people, they'll do a FSBO, as they say, a for sale by owner. But then what happens is an astute buyer, which most of buyers are now fairly astute, they'll say, well, if you're not paying a commission, I'm going to just lower the purchase price by that amount. So you've kind of defeated that. You know, it's better to have an advocate on your side.
Absolutely, there's no free lunch in real estate. You're absolutely right. A FSBO is not going to get a full retail market value offer more often than not.
And actually may usually be less.
That's
They
true.
they don't have the skills to negotiate. Exactly.
So we have just about a minute to go before we get to our thoughts for the day. Any last minute coming up here on the new year?
I can talk about more fun things that are happening on the taxes.
Yeah.
Besides,
Oh, boy.
yes, I know. Well, that's what I'm really curious to see what 2014 brings.
Yes.
We talked about the the Obamacare. We've talked about the debt to income limit, and there's other credits, other activity that's coming that's not to the benefit of any individuals. Right now there is, we talked about the cancellation of debt. The teacher's credit that teachers get on their tax returns is set to expire. There's this year, in 2013, the Medicare and the investment tax that's coming into play. There's bonus depreciation that's coming into play. So there's a lot of things that are.
So people are going to need to call Kathryn Harris to get more information
Sure.
on that.
I'm
Not trying to
hanging.
plug
Okay.
it. Like I
Consult
said,
with
sure.
the CPA, yes.
Consult. Okay,
A lot of it.
here's our thoughts for the day. So yesterday, I thought I would surprise my wife, so I came home with flowers and said, "Just 'cause, no special occasion." Now, instead of being happy, she scowled at me. Why? Because as it turns out, it was her birthday. That's the last time I forget. And then she says, "The last thing I want to do is hurt you, but it's still on the list." So, by the way, Mark, can I stay at your house tonight? Okay, tune in next week to The Best of Investing. We're going to be giving away 9 more free vacations for answering trivia questions. And hopefully I'll still be here. I'll be alive to do this after my wife gets a hold of me. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm Edward Brown, wishing you the best of investing. So long.